Africa has a brand new queen. The 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations has come to an unforgettable end, and the Indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon have finally done it. After years of heartbreak, near misses, and painful defeats in the final, Cameroon have lifted the WAFCON trophy for the first time in their history. But this was not just another tournament. It was a tournament filled with shocking results, historic achievements, emerging stars, and incredible stories. From Malawi reaching their first-ever WAFCON final, to Algeria winning their first bronze medal, and Cameroon finally becoming champions. WAFCON 2026 gave African football fans memories they will never forget. So, how did Cameroon conquer Africa? And how did they overcome some of the biggest teams on the continent? Let's take a look at the incredible story of WAFCON 2026. The final took place at the Moulay El Hassan Stadium in Rabat, Morocco. On one side were Cameroon, a team desperate to finally win the trophy. On the other was Malawi, the surprise package of the tournament and a team playing in their first-ever WAFCON final. For Malawi, simply reaching the final was already historic, but Cameroon had bigger ambitions. The Indomitable Lionesses started the final with incredible intensity. Marie Ngock became the star of the show, scoring twice in the first half. Naomi Ito then added another goal as Cameroon took complete control of the match. By halftime, the Lionesses were 3 goals ahead. Malawi had produced one of the greatest stories in WAFCON history, but Cameroon were not prepared to let their first final victory disappear. The second half saw Cameroon manage the game and protect their advantage. And when the final whistle finally arrived, history was made. Cameroon 3, Malawi 0. For the first time ever, Cameroon were WAFCON champions. The celebrations began immediately. Players, coaches, and supporters celebrated a moment that had been decades in the making. Cameroon had finally conquered Africa. But Cameroon's journey to this trophy was anything but easy. The Lionesses had reached previous WAFCON finals, only to suffer heartbreaking defeats. They had particularly painful memories against Nigeria, the dominant force in African women's football. Nigeria had won the competition 10 times, while Cameroon repeatedly came close without being able to take the final step. That made the 2026 triumph even more meaningful. This time, Cameroon had a different mentality. They were not satisfied with simply reaching the final. They wanted the trophy, and their quarterfinals showed exactly what they were capable of. Cameroon faced Nigeria in a huge knockout match. Nigeria entered the tournament as defending champions and one of the favorites, but Cameroon produced the decisive moment. Young forward Mariam Maeva Nyajoku struck in the 19th minute, giving Cameroon a 1-0 victory and sending the defending champions out of the competition. It was a massive statement. Cameroon were no longer just contenders, they were serious title favorites. Then came the semi-final. Cameroon faced hosts Morocco in Rabat. The atmosphere was electric. Morocco had home support behind them and were determined to reach the final on home soil. But Cameroon refused to be intimidated. The match finished 0-0 after a dramatic battle. That meant the finalists would have to be decided by penalties. And in the shootout, Cameroon held their nerve. The Lionesses defeated Morocco 3-1 on penalties and booked their place in the final. One more match. One more obstacle. And Cameroon would finally have the chance to write their name into WAFCON history. But while Cameroon were chasing history, another incredible story was developing. Malawi. The Scorchers were making their first appearance at the WAFCON finals, and nobody expected them to go all the way to the final. But Malawi immediately showed that they were not there just to participate. They shocked 10-time champions Nigeria with a stunning 3-2 victory in their opening Group C match. It was one of the biggest shocks of the tournament. And suddenly, everyone was talking about Malawi. The Scorchers continued their impressive campaign by defeating Egypt 3-1. Even when they lost 2-1 to Zambia in their final group match, Malawi had done enough to reach the knockout stages. Then came another historic moment. In the quarterfinals, Malawi defeated Algeria 3-1. Tabitha Chawinga was at the center of the action, scoring twice. That victory sent Malawi into their first-ever WAFCON semifinal. And they were not finished. In the semifinal, Malawi defeated Algeria again, this time 3-1, to reach their first-ever African final. It was an unbelievable achievement. A team playing in their first WAFCON had gone all the way to the final. And leading the charge was Tabitha Chawinga. She finished the tournament as the Golden Boot winner with 5 goals and 2 assists. Malawi may have lost the final, but their campaign will go down as one of the greatest underdog stories in WAFCON history. WAFCON 2026 was about much more than Cameroon and Malawi. There were major stories throughout the tournament. Hosts Morocco started strongly, defeating Kenya 4-0 in their opening match. Algeria also made a statement by beating Senegal 2-0. Zambia produced one of the biggest opening performances, defeating Egypt 6-0. And Captain Barbara Banda was directly involved in 5 of those goals, scoring 4 and providing an assist. South Africa also experienced a difficult tournament. The defending champions suffered a 2-1 defeat to Tanzania in the group stage. Bihina then fought their way into the knockout rounds, but their campaign eventually ended with a 2-1 defeat to Morocco in the quarterfinals. However, South Africa later kept their FIFA Women's World Cup 2027 hopes alive with a 2-1 victory over Nigeria in the playoff. Nigeria, meanwhile, experienced a disappointing tournament by their usual standards. The 10-time champions were shocked by Malawi in the group stage before eventually being eliminated by Cameroon. For a team accustomed to dominating African women's football, it was a huge disappointment. And then came the individual awards. Malawi's Tabitha Chawinga finished as the Golden Boot winner with 5 goals and 2 assists. Cameroon's Michaely Bihina was named best goalkeeper after an impressive tournament. She made 19 saves and kept 4 clean sheets across 5 matches. And Monique Ngock was named player of the tournament after playing a crucial role in Cameroon's historic campaign. These individual performances showed just how much talent was on display throughout the competition. But the biggest prize belonged to one team, Cameroon. A new era for African women's Cameroon's victory could also represent the beginning of a new era. For years, Nigeria dominated the WAFCON. South Africa then became champions in 2022. Equatorial Guinea had also previously lifted the trophy. Now Cameroon have joined that exclusive group. The victory also gives Cameroon a unique achievement. They have now won both the Men's Africa Cup of Nations and the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. And with the tournament expanded to 16 teams, WAFCON 2026 proved that women's football across Africa is becoming increasingly competitive. Teams like Malawi showed that the traditional giants can be challenged. That can only be good news for the future of African women's football, so there you have it. Cameroon are the new queens of Africa. Malawi became the tournament's incredible underdog story. Tabitha Chawinga claimed the Golden Boot. Algeria made history with their first WAFCON bronze medal, and African women's football took another huge step forward. But now we want to hear from you. Who was the best player of WAFCON 2026? Was it Tabitha Chawinga, Monique Ngock, Barbara Banda, or someone else? And do you think Cameroon can defend their title at the next WAFCON? Let us know in the comments. For more African football news, stories, and breaking updates, subscribe to the African Football Hub and turn on notifications. Cameroon